Have you ever found yourself in a relationship where something just doesn't feel right? Maybe it's the way he talks to you, how he avoids certain conversations, or the uneasy feeling you get when his actions don't match his words. You're not alone, and it's not your fault. Many women, especially those with big hearts, fall for men who don't have the best intentions. Today, we'll uncover 7 undeniable signs a man is using you, signs that could save your heart, your dignity, and your future. It's time to take control of your relationships and protect yourself from emotional and financial harm. Before we dive in, comment below the city you're watching from, and don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to our channel. Your support helps us create more empowering content for you. Let's start with the first and perhaps the most manipulative sign, a man who uses guilt to control your emotions. 1. Manipulating through guilt. Guilt is a powerful emotion, and when used intentionally, it can become a weapon in relationships. Imagine this. You've expressed your needs or shared a concern with your partner, only to be met with responses like, "I can't believe you would think that of me," or, "After everything I've done for you, this is how you repay me?" Instead of addressing the issue at hand, they shift the focus onto how you've supposedly wronged them, leaving you feeling ashamed for even bringing it up. This behavior is no accident. It's a calculated move to control you. By making you feel guilty, they avoid accountability and gain the upper hand in the relationship. You begin to question yourself, apologizing for things that aren't your fault. And over time, you might find yourself walking on eggshells to avoid triggering their guilt tactics. Take Linda's story as an example. At 55, she started dating a man who initially seemed kind and understanding. But whenever she mentioned needing more emotional support, he'd remind her of how lucky she was to have him in her life. He'd bring up the time he paid for dinner or helped her fix something around the house, framing those acts as evidence of his commitment. Linda eventually realized these weren't acts of love. They were investments he used to manipulate her. Recognizing this pattern is crucial. A healthy relationship is built on mutual respect and communication, not guilt trips. If you notice this behavior, ask yourself, is this guilt based on something real, or is it being manufactured to silence me? Awareness is the first step to breaking free from its hold. Now that we've uncovered the dangers of guilt as a tool for manipulation, let's look at another common behavior, one that keeps you stuck in limbo: avoiding commitment. 2. Avoiding commitment. A man who avoids commitment often leaves you feeling like you're chasing something you can never quite catch. He may speak in vague terms about the future, saying things like, "Let's see where this goes," or "I'm just not ready for anything serious right now." Yet, he doesn't let you go either. This inconsistency keeps you emotionally invested, while he enjoys the benefits of your attention without making any real promises. This behavior is particularly harmful because it creates a false sense of hope. You find yourself holding on, believing that with a little more time, he'll finally commit. But in reality, his avoidance is intentional. It allows him to keep you in a state of uncertainty, where he holds the power and you are constantly seeking his approval. Take Maria's experience as an example. At 52, she was dating a man who claimed he needed time to figure things out. While Maria was patient and understanding, he continued to make vague statements about their future. Years passed, but his actions never matched his words. She realized that his hesitation wasn't about timing. It was a deliberate way to avoid responsibility while keeping her around. A relationship should feel secure, not like an endless waiting game. If his words don't align with his actions, it's time to reassess whether this relationship is truly meeting your needs. While avoiding commitment can drain your emotional energy, another red flag to watch for is even more tangible: financial exploitation. 3. Financial exploitation. Financial exploitation is a more direct, yet often subtle form of manipulation. It starts small. He might forget his wallet at dinner or ask to borrow a small amount of money. Over time, these requests escalate, and before you know it, you're shouldering the financial burden of the relationship. At first, it might feel natural to help out, especially if he frames it as a temporary setback or emphasizes how much he appreciates you. But pay attention to patterns. Does he always have an excuse for why he can't pay? Does he avoid conversations about repaying loans or splitting costs fairly? If so, he may be exploiting your generosity. Consider Susan's story. At 60, she began dating a man who seemed charming and ambitious. He often talked about his big plans and how close he was to success, but he just needed a little help to get there. Susan found herself paying for trips, bills, and even his business expenses. Eventually, she realized that his promises of repayment and gratitude were empty. He was using her resources to fund his lifestyle. A healthy relationship involves fairness and mutual effort, including finances. If one person is consistently taking without giving back, it's a sign that they may not be invested in the partnership for the right reasons. Beyond financial exploitation, another subtle but deeply hurtful behavior is a lack of emotional investment, which can leave you feeling unseen and undervalued. Lack of emotional investment. In a truly loving relationship, both partners feel heard, valued, and emotionally supported. When a man lacks emotional investment, however, the relationship becomes one-sided. He may dismiss your feelings, avoid deep conversations, or show little interest in your life. Over time, you start feeling like an afterthought rather than a priority. This lack of connection can manifest in many ways. He might interrupt or ignore you when you're speaking, make sarcastic comments about your concerns, or fail to show empathy during difficult times. His focus is often on himself, leaving little room for your needs or emotions. For example, Cheryl, 57, dated someone who never remembered important dates or asked about her day. When she tried to express her feelings, he'd brush her off with comments like, "You're overreacting," or "I don't have time for this." Cheryl realized that his indifference wasn't just a bad habit, it was a sign he didn't care about building a real partnership. Relationships thrive on mutual care and attention. If you feel consistently dismissed or unheard, it's essential to recognize that this dynamic isn't healthy. Emotional neglect can be as damaging as any other form of manipulation, and you deserve better. Now that we've explored the emotional disconnect some men may exhibit, let's uncover a more insidious behavior: how some men use your vulnerabilities against you. Control and isolation. Control and isolation are some of the most damaging tactics a man can use in a relationship. These behaviors often start subtly, making them difficult to recognize until you're already entrenched. He might express concern about the people in your life, suggesting that certain friends or family members are bad influences or don't have your best interests at heart. At first, it may seem like he's protective, but over time, his intentions become clear. He wants to separate you from your support system. Isolation doesn't always happen through arguments or ultimatums. It can take the form of monopolizing your time, making you feel guilty for spending time with others, or creating conflicts that drive a wedge between you and your loved ones. The goal is to leave you dependent on him, both emotionally and practically. Take Elaine's story as an example. At 58, she found herself in a relationship with a man who constantly criticized her best friend, calling her toxic and jealous. He discouraged Elaine from attending family gatherings, claiming that her relatives didn't appreciate her enough. Over time, Elaine realized she'd stopped seeing her friends and family entirely, leaving her feeling isolated and alone. Control and isolation are not signs of love. They're tools of manipulation. A healthy partner encourages your independence and supports your relationships with others. If you notice someone trying to isolate you, it's a clear red flag that their intentions are not genuine. While isolation can create a physical and emotional barrier, some men take manipulation even further by using your personal vulnerabilities against you. 6. Using your vulnerabilities against you. Everyone has vulnerabilities, whether it's a difficult past, insecurities, or moments of self-doubt. In a healthy relationship, these vulnerabilities are met with empathy and support. But a man with manipulative tendencies may exploit them instead, turning your personal struggles into tools for control. This behavior often appears in subtle ways. For instance, he might bring up painful memories during arguments to weaken your confidence or blame your insecurities for any conflict in the relationship. By doing so, he shifts the focus away from his own actions and makes you feel like the problem. Martha, 54, shared her story of dating someone who knew about her struggle with loneliness after her divorce. Whenever she confronted him about his lack of commitment, he'd respond by saying, "You're just afraid of being alone. That's why you're overreacting." His words left her questioning her own feelings and doubting her right to set boundaries. Exploiting someone's vulnerabilities is a clear violation of trust. It's a form of emotional manipulation designed to keep you off balance and unsure of yourself. A supportive partner will build you up, not use your weaknesses to control you. While using vulnerabilities can erode your self-esteem, another tactic that keeps you trapped in uncertainty is emotional breadcrumbing. 7. Emotional breadcrumbing. Emotional breadcrumbing is a manipulative strategy where a man gives just enough affection or attention to keep you hooked, without ever fully committing to the relationship. These small gestures, like a thoughtful text, a rare compliment, or an unexpected gift, may seem meaningful in the moment, but they're strategically timed to maintain control. Breadcrumbing keeps you invested, waiting for more. It creates a cycle of hope and disappointment, where the crumbs are just enough to make you believe he cares. The reality, however, is that his actions are calculated, designed to keep you from walking away while he avoids offering true emotional connection. Karen, 61, recalled how her boyfriend would disappear for days, only to reappear with flowers and sweet words. Each time she thought things would change, but the pattern repeated. She realized the kind gestures were his way of keeping her emotionally tethered, even though he had no intention of offering more. This tactic is particularly damaging because it plays on your desire for love and commitment. A healthy relationship isn't built on crumbs. It requires consistent effort, mutual respect, and genuine care. Recognizing this behavior is the first step toward freeing yourself from its hold. Now that we've explored these 7 behaviors, it's time to empower yourself with knowledge and take control of your relationships. Let's wrap up with a final word of encouragement. Relationships should lift you up, not weigh you down. If you've recognized any of the signs we've discussed today, whether it's manipulation through guilt, avoiding commitment, financial exploitation, or any of the other harmful behaviors, it's time to pause and reflect. You deserve a partner who values and respects you, not someone who uses you for their own benefit. Remember, the power to change your story lies in your hands. By identifying these behaviors, you're already taking the first step toward protecting your heart and reclaiming your self-worth. You are not alone, and there's no shame in stepping away from a relationship that doesn't honor your value. Now, we want to hear from you. Have you experienced any of these behaviors in a relationship? Share your thoughts or stories in the comments below. It might help someone else who's struggling. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to this channel for more empowering advice. You deserve a love that feels safe, nurturing, and real. Take care of yourself. You're worth it.